Hey everybody, this is Miss Dietrich helping you understand how to use proportional reasoning to figure out something like the distance between the entrance and the exit at our school, Lisha Middle School. Alright, so the first thing to understand is where to look. If you go to Google Maps or if you look at any map, there probably is going to be some sort of a scale there, and it's a little bit difficult for you to see probably, so I'm just going to tell you what it says. If you look right here, this says 200 feet. And that would suggest from this notch to this notch is 200 feet. And then they have on the bottom here, I think that says 100 meters, which means from this notch to this notch is 100 meters. You can make a proportion out of that. Now, do you see how I have this ruler here? If I hold up this ruler, do you see how let me line that up a little bit better, from this notch to this notch, that's 2 centimeters on my metric ruler? You can make a ratio out of that, and here it is, 2 centimeters for every 100 actual meters on the actual Earth. All right, so if I'm interested in knowing the distance between where it says A and this little dot here, it would be a good idea to measure with your ruler. Let me turn this around a little bit so we can get more of an accurate measurement. Okay, and kind of hold that up, and it's not quite straight enough, just straighten it out a little bit. Okay, so it looks like almost, yeah, let's say that that's pretty close to 5 centimeters. And if we wanted to get fancy, we could say 4 9/10. But let's just, for the sake of making this a little bit easier on ourselves, we'll call it more of an estimate, we'll say 5 centimeters. All right, so if we make a ratio, we can kind of clone this. Let me clone that and move it over here. And we're interested in, what about 5 centimeters, which is the length between the two dots. Now, the reason why I'm going to put, this is called a proportion, by the way, so this left ratio I got from the scale, and this number is the distance between these two dots. So now I want to find the actual number of meters. I'm just going to use the variable m for meters to represent how many meters it is from here to here. And we can use the calculator, or we can consider simplifying this. Now, really, we don't even have to use a calculator because we could simplify this left ratio pretty easily by dividing both of these by 2. If we divide that divided by 2, we get 1. If we divide that by 2, we get 50. So if I kind of clean this up a little bit, we're dealing with 1 centimeter for every 50 actual meters. And we want to know how many meters is it if we have 5 centimeters on the ruler. Now, of course, we can use cross products. 1 times m would be m, and we can just do the 50 times 5 to get the answer that way. Some people like to recognize that 1 times 5 equals 5, so we can just do 50 times 5 to get the value for m. And we can do that in our head. 5 times 5 is 25, and all we have to do is add the 0. So that means that there's 250 actual meters, if we trust my ruler here, from this dot to this dot. All right, so then you could kind of take it to another level. What we could figure out is, let's say we were going to figure out this loop. Maybe your phys ed teacher, even though it wouldn't be safe because there's too much traffic on Waterman Avenue, but let's say your phys ed teacher was going to make you run laps around this. So what you would have to do is, we already know that this is 250 meters. We'd have to measure the length of this and see how that looks like it's a little bit shorter, doesn't it? It's not quite 5, especially if you turn that corner. And then if we were to measure down here, the length of that little strip of asphalt right there, that looks like it's about 2 centimeters. And let's measure over here. That looks like maybe 1. Assuming that you're going to turn the corner tightly instead of go all the way around to the outside, you might even say that that's about 1 5/10. So let's say you did have to do that. You'd have to figure out the distance going around the loop. You would have to add up all of your centimeters that you have going around and find the perimeter of this, this rectangle, and then use the same scale. All right, I hope you found this helpful for figuring out how to use proportional reasoning to figure out unknown distances.